Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the next section, which is the white to hue. And remember, hue is just the fancy word for color, right? And the color we're going to be using is blue. And I'm using blue because you should be able to see it better on the camera instead of if I used yellow. Right? The camera does sometimes make the blue look purple, just to give you a heads up on that. All right, so if you need to grab more white, you should. For example, that's not going to be enough, so I'm going to scoop up do two scoops. And that should be good enough. And now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do about three scoops of blue. Right. If you don't have space on your lid, obviously you're going to want to get rid of some of that gray we made earlier. I should have enough space on here. I'm going to do 3 scoops of blue. And remember, we're starting with the white. Whenever you're painting, you always want to start with the lighter paint. In this case, it's white. And blue will overpower the white because it's darker. All right, let me move my paint out of the way. And just have the lid here. So same thing as the top one. Start with white, solid white. And start at the left side. And you're going to put it all the way towards the middle. Okay. And remember, we are putting it on here first, even though solid white is only really going to be around this section here. But we use this white that we have here to blend in or mix in with the light blue that we're about to put in. Okay. If this rectangle space was smaller or shorter, we would have a harder time blending or doing it in a small area. It's always harder when you're trying to blend something in a small area. It's easier when you have it bigger because you have more room. Right? All right, so that's the white. Now I'm going to make a light blue on my lid here. I'm just going to use the white that was already on my paintbrush, and I dipped a little bit of blue. I'm going to grab a little bit more, just because remember that when tempera dries, it dries a little lighter than how you see it. All right, let me grab a little bit more white. I'm just making more of the light blue, so I have enough if I need it later on. All right, this should be good. All right, I'm going to start here in the center and make my way towards the left. Now, I'm going to fill in this section first and then go towards the left. Reason why I'm doing this section first is because once I start blending the blue, light blue with the white, it's going to make it lighter. And I don't want to have to come back. And if I come back, this is going to make this blue lighter. All right, so putting the blue or the light blue on top of the white, and notice how it's already making it lighter, which is what we want. But if I go back and take this light blue and put it in here, it's going to cover that. We don't want that. We want this to stay that value. All right, and now I'm just making my way towards the left, and your blue that we made should look lighter now because again it's mixing in or blending in with the white that we put down a minute ago. So same process of what we did for the white to black gradation. The goal is to have a gradual change between all of the values. The more gradual you make it, the better, the smoother it will look. Right? Okay, so I have a line here and I have a line here. Time to get rid of that line. So rinse out my paintbrush. Right? Dry it out with the paper towel. And again, I like using my finger or my hand just to see if it's wet or how damp it is. Right? And then just go over to the line and dab it directly on it. And so it fades out. that line. And then do the same thing here. I wipe my paintbrush so it doesn't have any of that white, and do the same thing over here. Remember, this whole time you are kind of fighting against time. I'm going to put some more of that blue. And that's the whole thing when it comes to shading with paint. You're fighting time. So say you put down this paint and you had multiple lines. You're like, oh, I'm going to come back later in about 20 or 30 minutes and fade it out then. You won't be able to. You're going to have to redo it. Because again, once this paint dries, you can't just add water and think that it's going to work the same way. Okay. All right. So that made that line disappear. All right. So now we're going to go and make a more solid blue with the white, because this is going to be solid blue over here. Rinse out my paintbrush before I put in the white paint. This looks like a good, this is going to be like a medium blue. Yeah, there we go. Again, we're doing the same thing we did with the white to black, except we're not using black in this case, we're using blue. And blue isn't obviously as dark as the black up here. Right, so I didn't make enough, so I'm going to make some more. Again, it doesn't have to be the exact same blue, right? But getting it close to it and then blending it is the key, so that it looks like it's the same blue or the same value of blue. Notice how I'm slowly adding the blue to that white, because you can easily make it more blue, but not as easily make it a lighter blue or a darker value of blue. Sorry. All right, there we go. Drag it, and again, I'm overlapping it with that light blue, right, so that we can fade it. And I still have some of it. It's still here and it's still kind of wet. So if I need it, I can use it. It's always a good idea to have some paint left over of the value, so that if you need it afterwards, you still have it. And I'm going to bring it over here. All right, and now I'm going to fade out that line. Rinse out my paintbrush. Dry it off. And now wipe it and go over that line. Same process. So get into the habit of wiping and rinsing, or rinsing and wiping your paintbrush. Again, I'm not adding a lot of pressure. It's just literally the pressure of the bristles on the paintbrush that are doing the work for me. Remember that if you add too much pressure, you're going to end up taking paint off of the paper. All right. All right, so now I'm ready for the solid blue over here. So take my solid blue, put it on there. Hopefully this medium blue is still wet. If not, I still have some there. And I'm going to bring it towards this medium blue. But before, I need to fill in all of these sections or areas so that that side is solid blue. All right, so now I'm ready to go and overlap it with the medium blue. All right, rinse out my paintbrush. Dry it, wipe it, and same thing. Feather it along that line. Wipe it because it's getting too much of the paint on there. All right, so this is good. Now I just need to do that over there. I'm gonna take some more of this medium glue here value and just overlap it because I think the one that was underneath was already dry and it wasn't doing a good job of blending. Yeah, see how that's a little better? Now wipe my paintbrush, go back and fade it out. So you can always fix it once if you waited too long and it dried out. Again, you have to remake it or as close as you can. And then reapply it in the same process. All right, there we go. Again, don't be too harsh on yourself if it doesn't come out smooth. A lot of you, it's the first time doing this. Right? The goal is to obviously get better as we go down to the other two. Okay.